It was a 10-day ride for Artaban to meet his 3 friends, so he rode into the night and was back in the saddle long before daylight. He rode past the Euphrates and the conquests of Alexander, pushing his steed to its limits, always following the star. But suddenly, his horse balked. There was something wrong. In the road lay the form of a man. It was a poor Hebrew exile, almost dead and full of fever. Should I turn aside? He wondered and prayed, God of truth and purity, direct me in your path with the wisdom only you know. He dismounted and treated the man, for the Magi were trained in healing arts, and as the man roused, Artaban told him where he was healed.
I can tell you where to find the deliverer of all man, said the Hebrew. Not in Jerusalem, but in Bethlehem. May God grant you this journey, because you have shown mercy to me.
Artaban sold the sapphire, giving some of its value to the Hebrew. When Artaban reached the point of rendezvous with the wise men, there was only a piece of papyrus under a small rock. We could wait no longer, it read. Follow us across the desert. But the star had vanished. How could I follow, said Artaban, with no food and with a spent horse? Only God the merciful knows whether I shall ever see the king, because I tarried to show mercy. He purchased camels and supplies with the rest of the funds from the sapphire and set out to the west. The trails were arid and inhospitable, shifting hills of sand, a furnace by day and freezing at night. But eventually he came to Damascus, then the mountains of Hermon, the Jordan River, and finally Bethlehem. By then, the 3 wise men had found Mary and Joseph with the young child, Jesus, and had laid their gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh at his feet. I shall surely find him, said Artaban. Though I be alone and later than my brothers, this is the place of which the prophets and the Hebrew have spoken. I shall behold the rising of the great light. The streets were deserted. A woman with a baby told him of strangers from the east who had appeared suddenly, saying that a star had guided them to where Joseph of Nazareth was lodging with his wife and newborn son, how they had worshipped the child and given him many rich gifts.
But, she said, the travelers and the star disappeared, and the family from Nazareth fled away that night in secret. Ever since, something evil seems to hang over our village. They say soldiers are coming to find this king.
Suddenly there was a shout from the street.
The soldiers! They are killing our children!
The young mother's face grew white with terror as she crouched in the darkest corner of the room, covering her child with the folds of her robe lest it cry. Artaban went quickly and stood in the doorway of the house, filling it completely. Soldiers hurried down the street with dripping swords, but at the sight of the noble stranger they hesitated.
I come in peace, said Artaban, and am waiting to give this jewel to the prudent one who will leave me to myself.
He held out the ruby, glistening in the hollow of his hand like a great drop of blood. The captain was amazed at the splendor of this gem. He stretched out his hand and took the ruby.
March on, he cried to his men. There is no child here. This house is empty.
Artaban prayed.
God of truth, forgive my heart. I have strayed from my search to save the life of a child. Now 2 of my gifts are gone. Shall I ever be worthy to see the face of the king?